What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles Team Builder here on Madden 25, but also featuring 31 other team builders to create the full UFL. We are here in the start of year number 3, and within the confines of year number 3, we are off to an incredibly slow start. We are just 1-3 on this season, and we found ways to lose games on a consistent basis. But we look to change that here in our first Battle of Ohio here in year number 3, as we will be taking on the Columbus Destroyers. Now, Columbus going in is also not in too peachy of a spot. They are coming in at a 2-2 record, but it's very early on in the season. I mean, we're only a quarter of the way through the year thus far, and what we have noticed is that even though we're off to an incredibly slow start, we are still very much in our divisional race, right? We just got to find a way to turn things around, and then sure enough, when we find a way to turn things around, we're going to come out here and maybe we can come and get a divisional title for the very first time in this series. That's something that I would definitely love to see, but we got a lot going on here in this episode, man. This right here is not even the only game we're going to be playing, so it's going to be an action-packed episode. Hope you guys enjoy it, man, and if you do, make sure you do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do have to be brand new to the channel. And with that being said, man, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, boys, so before we have to even worry about any kind of gameplay, we got ourselves a little bit of a press conference that we need to take care of real quick. And the media, the Gem City media, is asking, now that we are 5 weeks in, do we have a solid idea of how good our football team is? And to be honest with you, I really don't. I don't know what necessarily we are capable of. I saw some positive moments in the preseason, and of course, like early on in the regular season as well, even though we are sitting at, I think, like 1-3 so far. But I just don't know what we can do. If this could swing in multiple different directions, we could be a playoff team, or we could be absolutely awful. Who knows what happens from here on out. Now, with that being said, we also get some upgrades for some of the players that are on this squad. One of them is our second round rookie. Heath Whitehead had the touchdown there early in season number 3 as a rookie, and he's trying to get himself more in the mix of that running backfield, but I want him to be a little bit more of a well-rounded player, right? So we're going to go with a power back here, so that we can put him in spots to where maybe he can be used a little bit more on third down if it's like a third and short situation. He does get a +2 to break tackling, and then he also is going to stay at 71 overall, but could be higher if it wasn't for morale issues. Still a pretty good player for someone that is in fact just a rookie. And then the other player that we have here is Randy Dawkins. Now, Randy Dawkins is a younger player on our team. He's a third-year player out of Western Michigan, and a rotational piece, a solid rotational piece that I like to have on this team. And Randy Dawkins, we're going to go with the power rusher upgrade, and he gets some nice bull rush moves, right? A +3 to block shed, +2 to finesse, +2 to power moves as well. Just overall, just being a overarchingly better power rusher, and just helping us being a more usable player, frankly, for if we put him in the game, if our 2 starting defensive tackles do end up getting hurt. But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and jump into the Battle of the Buckeye State, or at least spring football's version of it. We did end up winning the coin toss, and we will defer to the second half. So the Columbus Destroyers, who come in 2-2, they are going to start with the football, and they start with a nice outside run there as Kendall Denard, or Kashim Denard, who had nearly 80 yards on the ground last week, gets off to a pretty good start here, nearly picking up a first down for the Columbus Destroyers. As now we come out here in a second and short type of situation, as there might have been a flag on that offensive line. We'll see who it belongs to, but no! They are going to in fact call it on Greg Sharp, the second-year player that we brought in, like, not this past offseason, but the previous offseason. And we give him a free first down. We give him a free first down because of that. But a couple plays later, we do have a chance to get him off the field on a 3rd and 6. However, our linebacker just is not fast enough to take care of that running back in the open field. Jordan Baptiste and Ty Mood did their best. But with that being said, we have a brand new set of downs. Trying to throw deep downfield. And oh, that receiver was wide but naked open. I don't know if Denario Allen is celebrating, but he really shouldn't be. I mean, he just got lucky, but that pass was overthrown because that was a touchdown waiting to happen, as their quarterback, even though he isn't throwing the best, he didn't have that best deep ball there, he still has some pretty good legs. And now we find ourselves deep in our own territory, trying to hold it down here, as we got Jenkins able to make his 2nd catch of the ball game, and he nearly picks up a first down there as well. Whereas on the very next play, Kashim Denard runs to the outside, and Denard is going to be able to pick up yet another first down. So a very methodical drive going on here for the Columbus Destroyers here in the very first drive of the game. Let's see if our boys can tighten up, as looks like there's a different quarterback in the game, as looks like Bell is in. Not sure what happened to their starting quarterback, but definitely a different person. And this is exactly what we want. 3rd and 10, backup quarterback in the game. Just not make sure we don't make any bad decisions. But Bell is going to scramble. And not only does he find the first down, he finds the touchdown as well. And Columbus takes the lead. Now, with that being said, we find ourselves down 7-0. But afterwards, we go 3 and out on our next drive here. So late in the first quarter, Columbus has the ball yet again. And once more, we do also see this Columbus football team in Dayton territory. Last time they were down here, it worked out pretty darn well. And it almost works out for them yet again, as Bell is just sails it over his receiver. He had him open in the back of the end zone. Would have been a somewhat difficult throw. But with that being said, still doing good on those timing routes, as J.J. Peters, well, he does bring him down. He does still allow the first down anyways. So that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter here. It's been a tough first quarter for your Dayton Triangles, as we're down 7-0. So let's see if we can play a little bit better overall here in this second quarter of action, as we'll go ahead and get things started here with the Columbus in the red zone once again, as they'll throw quickly over to the right-hand side. Had his receiver open, but his receiver just could not haul it in. Was probably looking forward to some yards after the catch, but 2nd and 10 now coming up, as this time they'll throw back to that right-hand side. He's going to find the tight end Thomas for the first down, as once again, Columbus finds itself in the red zone inside the 6-yard line, as Bell wants to scramble to the outside, but no one is going to be home this time around, as that looks like it's going to be Von Red that's going to be able to bring him down. Either Von Red or that might have been Matt Pointer as well. Either way, we're able to give ourselves some much needed space. As 3rd and goal from the 10-yard line. They're going to go ahead and throw over the middle, and they almost find the end zone, but Jared Strong leads the way in terms of corralling him down at the 1-yard line. And surprisingly, Columbus does end up settling for a field goal. So a moral victory here, but you know, we really need our offense to start cooking. I mean, first couple of drives have not been good here thus far. So we're going to try to send this downfield. Our receiver had a step, but just overthrew him a little bit too much, trying to drop it in the bucket. And now it's going to be 3rd and 7, still looking for our first down in the game, as Collar throws over the middle, and Grayson Heidick breaks the tackle and gets across the 40-yard line. First down for the Dayton Triangles, as that will keep the drive alive for the time being. As a matter of fact, we're a big fan of that tight end, so we'll go right back to him once again, who is wide but naked open. And so he's going to hit us across the 45-yard line for yet another first down. And for the first time today, we actually seem like we have a semblance of some rhythm. So let's see if we can get this ground game going here a little bit more. And sure enough, Joe Spears finds an open crease and gets to the 25-yard line. First down for the Dayton Triangles. And now here we are with a chance to put points on the board. First time today is Leon Thomas is able to bring that one in, able to get across the 10-yard line. As now we have a goal line situation here. First and goal from the 8, and Sharpton is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton! In the free agent acquisition, Terrell Sharpton is going to cut this deficit down to just a field goal. So now we're staring down a 3-point game here as we'll go ahead and get things rolling here with Columbus taking over once again. As, oh my goodness, that is a nasty spin move by Kashim Denard, as Denard does get the Columbus Destroyers to about midfield, as their starting quarterback does return to the game, as Damian Curtis was dealing with a minor issue, but he is back for this particular 2-minute drill. As now 2nd and 10, looking over to the left-hand side, it's dropped, but there is a flag on the field, and it's going to be a holding penalty going against the offense. Paul Hunt is going to be called for the holding. So now it's going to be 2nd and 20 as they try to run a screen, but we are simply all over it. Even if you got that pass off cleanly, Daryl McLeod was there to try to light it up like a Christmas tree. So now 3rd and 20, just got to make sure that we don't get beat deep. They decide to run it instead, as it looks like they will only pick up a few yards there. We'll go ahead and use one of our timeouts, so we'll go ahead and get our offense back onto the field. We did settle for the touchback, and so with 1:05 left in the first half here, Andrew Collar tries to get back to work. Here we go. First play of the new drive as Collar drops back. He throws to the left-hand side, but it's more of an excuse me throw. He saw that corner coming down late, and I couldn't pump fake it soon enough. So that was probably like the next best course of action, just basically a nice way of throwing it away. As now 2nd and 10, throwing him over the middle. It's a low ball for Will Hunter, but Will Hunter was still able to corral it. We do have to use one of our timeouts, so only have one timeout left here in the first half, as it looks like Columbus sends the blitz. We had guys open, but Collar couldn't find the hot route soon enough. And now 2nd and 10 coming up. Collar throws to the right-hand side. Got Grayson Heidick down the sideline, and he'll get himself out of bounds with 45 seconds left. Now sitting at about midfield here as Dayton is looking to strike, and now we are officially striking in Columbus territory as DeAndre Bazier gets his first catch of the day. We'll try to go right back to him though for his next play, as Bazier cannot bring it in. So that leaves us with just 23 seconds left here in the first half, as now Collar lines up in shotgun formation, wants to go to the left-hand side, but doesn't see that second defender, as DeAndre Bazier just gets lit up like a Christmas tree, and unsurprisingly also does not hang on to the football. So here we are with a 4th and 3, and you know what? We're feeling a little bit dangerous. We're going to go for it here, trying to throw it in the middle. We had Leon Thomas, but we threw it low. Oh my goodness, that was a missed opportunity if I ever seen one. So now here we are. Columbus has 18 seconds left, and let's see if what our boys can do to try to keep Columbus from getting any more points onto the scoreboard. However, a first down would solidify like a field goal opportunity as they're throwing to the right, and we will force the throwaway from Damian Curtis. So this will likely be the last meaningful play before we see any kind of field goal attempt. We'll see what Columbus decides to do as they'll drop back again. Curtis on the left-hand side's got a guy open. Gets to about the 35-yard line, and so they will trot out their kicker for looks like about a 52-yard field goal attempt. This is not a gimme by any means in the UFL, but this guy drills it right through. The kick attempt is good. And so our gamble backfires terribly as we will go into halftime down by 6.
Okay, Mike, thanks very much.
So with that being said, guys, welcome back to the second half of action as we find ourselves in Ohio Stadium here for this UFL Classic, as we'll go ahead and see Columbus back to work here, as both teams starting off a little on the slow side. Both teams starting with a free and out or two. But Columbus does start things out inside the 40-yard line. However, throwing to the left-hand side, that does ends up getting caught for a decent gain. Now already in field goal range for this kicker, but just trying to prevent any further damage. Curtis has some time, throws over the middle, has found a receiver. Denario Allen cannot bring him down, and that's going to be a touchdown for the Columbus Destroyers. Tremaine Thomas is going to find the end zone, and they're also going to go for the 2-point conversion as well, trying to make this a clean 14-point lead, as Curtis is going to hand it off over the middle, but is met by our defensive lineman. Multiple guys stepping in and helping, but with that being said, that 2-point conversion is ultimately going to end up being a complete failure. So we find ourselves down by 12 here midway through the third quarter. We could use a little bit of a spark. We could be having one with Joe Spears, as Joe Spears nearly takes one out to the crib. That is a good return, and we're going to start with some quality field position, starting at almost the 40-yard line, but let's see if we can take advantage of it. First, we're going to start with Joe Spears, who just had that big return. Well, he's also going to get that carry for us, and he'll move the sticks for a Dayton Triangles first down, as that will carry your Dayton Triangles to about midfield, as Collar will drop back to pack. Doesn't like what he sees upfield. Now he's going to go ahead and run. He's got some wheels on him and gets caught from behind, but is able to get across the 25-yard line, though. He's going to do this really weird dance, definitely has persona of Kirk Cousins before coming over to Atlanta, as now we will see this Dayton Triangles team in the red zone for the first time in feels like a long time, right? So we really need to get some points on the board, and we need them badly. 3rd and 4 coming up as Collar sends a man in motion, dropping back, finds Leon Thomas over the middle, and that's going to be caught for a first down, as that will give the Dayton Triangles a new set of sticks to work with. But with that being said, a few plays later, we don't do much with them. So now facing a 3rd and long, and we're just going to try to set up the halfback screen, trying to get it set up for Heath Whitehead, the 2nd-round rookie. But unfortunately, couldn't get that off soon enough. So did have to go ahead and settle for the field goal, as now we'll go ahead and see if we can stop this Columbus offense that seems to be humming along pretty decently, already up by 9. As now 3rd and 5 coming up. Curtis drops back. He's got a clean pocket to work through, and he's going to find a receiver open, but this is going to be a potential for an even bigger play, and it is touchdown Columbus. That is going to be another score. This time Daniel Jenkins finding the end zone. And of course, to try to make this a 17-point game or a 3-possession difference, they're going to go for the 2-point conversion. And Curtis looks over the middle and finds his receiver. That's Tremaine Thomas that he found. And it quickly caps off a free play. 73-yard drive. And we are down bad right now, facing our biggest deficit of this game. Down by 17. Can this team provide a spark? And DeAndre Bazier could have an answer. Down the sideline. Makes a couple of guys miss. Gets across midfield. And that's exactly what we needed in order to have some kind of spark. But this offense, we got to get it moving. And we got to get it moving quickly. Here we go. 1st and 10 from the 47-yard line. Collar runs up the middle with Joe Spears and gets across the 40-yard line for a quality run to start this drive. And then what likely could be one of the last plays that we run in the 3rd quarter. We throw over the right-hand side. Leon Thomas, he's got some space on the outside and gets across the 5-yard line. First down for the Dayton Triangles as we run an excellent play action concept That's why it's so important to build up that running game for plays like that. And we're going to need more of those plays if we're going to come back. Because down by 17 with 1 quarter left, it's going to be tough to come back. But I do have full belief in this football team. And it starts with a touchdown for Terrell Sharpton to get things started here in the 4th quarter. And that's going to be Sharpton's 2nd touchdown run of the ball game. And it'll help cut this deficit down a little bit. Now down by 10. But we have not done a very good job of stopping this Columbus team, especially on the last couple of drives, one of which ending in a successful 2-point conversion. Gotta at least hold them to a field goal, but right now it is not looking promising at all as they're running it down our throats once again. Paul Townsend on the hot pursuit finally brings down Kashim Denard as Denard gets across the 20-yard line. Here comes yet another red zone opportunity where Curtis drops back. Is going to dump it off to the tailback as Kashim Denard is able to hang on and pick up a few extra yards afterwards. So again, it's another goal line opportunity for Columbus as Curtis is going to go ahead, try to scramble for the end zone. And that's going to be another touchdown for Columbus. A difficult day for our defensive guys. So with that being said, down by looks like 17 and 8 minutes left to play. Can we put together some kind of miraculous comeback as we'll start throwing over the middle to Will Hunter, who takes the tough contact. Looks like he's a little bit shaken up. Will remain in the game though. He's a tough kid. You know, wants to make those NFL dreams come true someday. As Grayson Heineck is going to be a little shaken up as well. We had to take an injury timeout. So now we're down our starting tight end and arguably our best weapon that we have on this team, but DeAndre Bozier. Want to make sure that he gets his presence felt, man. What a tough catch in double coverage. Doesn't matter. And now here we are inside the 35-yard line, wanting a touchdown shot, but it's going to be broken up at the last second. And so with that being said, we are now looking at 2nd and 10. As now Collar looks over the middle of the field. Sight throw to Leon Thomas, was able to just fit it through there. That's a lot of trust for the wide receiver 1 right there. But we still need to pick up this 3rd down, though, and we will with Will Hunter down the right-hand side. Does manage to get caught there towards the end. But that will take Andrew Collar over 200 yards on the day. He's having a decent performance. Not a great game, but this one he just has to throw it in the dirt. Facing pressure right away. They just send so many bodies over our direction. It was like one big wave. So, with that being said, it's 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. Going to go with a little bit of fullback dive. And our starting fullback just so happens to be the 2nd-round rookie, Heath Whitehead. He did win the fullback job out of camp. And so, he gets his first touch of the day. It leads to a touchdown. And then, look at this! Following the touchdown, we go for the onside kick. And the shit is actually successful. This team now, all of a sudden, has some life. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line as Collar wants a deep shot. Looks over the middle and gets hit as he throws the ball. So it will fall harmlessly to the ground. Incomplete. So now 2nd and 10 coming up as Collar drops back. Looks over the middle and finds Leon Thomas, who had to try and make a diving grab. But he is not successful though. So it's going to be 3rd and 10 as Collar drops back. Looks over to the left-hand side, throws it up into double coverage. That's almost intercepted as well. Thankfully, that one drops to the ground. That had serious pick 6 potential. But instead, it's going to be 4th and 10. Going to be staring down, possibly cover 2. And it turns out that Collar, he's just going to go ahead and run for it. Sliding down at about the 35-yard line. So we needed a 10 yards. And Collar gets us more than that. So the drive will continue. 1st and 10 as Collar tries to scramble once again. Was a little bit premature. He was going to have a receiver open, but felt like there was more pressure than what was actually there. You want to talk about bailing out a clean pocket? He did just that there. However, very next play, he makes up for it by throwing a dot to DeAndre Bossier, using his body to protect him. And now we are staring down borderline a red zone opportunity. Gower looks over to the right-hand side and throws it a little low for Will Hunter. He had some space there on the outside, but with that being said, instead it's going to be 2nd and 10. As Carr will instead throw over the middle to DeAndre Bossier, making his presence felt on this particular drive, as it leads to a 1st and 10 now. Gower in the pocket, fires over the middle, and it's caught! Touchdown, Leon Thomas! And we'll run it back one more time. I don't trust my defense here, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to try the onside kick. We were successful at the first one. I thought we recovered it with Chris Gentry, the 2nd-round player, at free safety, but he contacted it too early. It is considered an illegal touching penalty, and that was huge because in retrospect, we never touched the ball again. Columbus runs out the clock, and we lose a heartbreaker in the Battle of Ohio, losing 34-31 to our rivals. Alright, boys, so we take such a tough loss, bro. I mean, yes, like, we put ourselves in a bad spot going into the 4th quarter, but I mean, even though it felt close at the same time, though, like, the way that we were playing, we played so poorly offensively in the first half that even though we gave up 34 points, I honestly don't blame our defense. I mean, the defense, honestly, was put in some pretty compromising positions today. And so while our team didn't turn the ball over today, what I did find was that we just looked lethargic out there. Andrew Collard did not look like himself today, barely completing half of his passes, did throw for 248 yards and 1 touchdown. Aside from the 4th quarter of action, this was someone that was not playing at what we are typically capable of seeing him play at, right? Now, for the ground game, and this is probably an even bigger indictment, and we did try to run the ball. We truly did. Terrell Sharpen got a lion's share of the carries, but he averaged less than 2 yards a carry in this ball game. Really, our biggest rusher was our quarterback. Andrew Collard kind of feels like he has to do it on his own sometimes. 3 carries for 49 yards. Joe Spears had 5 carries for 37 yards, but then Heath Whitehead, who does have that future starter tag on him, he found the end zone in this one, and he continues to impress as a 2nd-round rookie, but gets limited playing time. Really like what I saw from him, but again, don't have a lot of hope long-term for this running game unless Heath Whitehead can seize that running back job. Now, for our receivers, Leon Thomas does have a pretty nice day. 6 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. DeAndre Bossier wasn't too bad either with 5 catches and 63 yards. Grayson Heineck also had a few catches, and so did Will Hunter. I did see Grayson Heineck go down and ultimately did not return, so hopefully his injury wasn't too serious. Now, for the defense, even though this was a rough day for our defense, not completely their fault, what I did end up seeing was that, hey, we had some pretty good days happening here with our football team with JJ Peters coming around. I mean, this rookie is leading my team in tackles already, 10 total tackles, although most of them were assisted. Jordan Baptiste, who we brought in through free agency, also wasn't too bad himself. He had 8 total tackles on the day. We did kind of struggle with, well, it felt like we struggled quite a bit getting to this quarterback, but it's kind of like a yes or no type of thing. So, like, we ended up with 3 total sacks, I think, in this game. Trey Dawson ended up with a sack, and then a bunch of guys coming in with half a sack, like JJ Peters, Jordan Baptiste, Daryl McLeod, and Greg Sharp all had like half a sack contributed here today. Trey Dawson, the only one able to get a sack on his own. We once again did not force any turnovers, and you know, it's tough. It is tough to see what's happening to our team. I think we have good individuals on our team, but for one reason or another, we're not playing like a solidified unit, or at least as solidified of a unit as I want to be. So even though we suffer an extremely painful loss, one of the silver linings that we do at least have is that we are going to get an upgrade for one of our offensive linemen. Now, Barry Altman, he has shown to be one of our best offensive linemen on this team, even though he is only a second-year player. We drafted him in the first round, I believe, back in the year one off season. So he's a second-year player. We're going to work on his run blocking and run block finesse, because the way that we had that run game going, we really needed it. And he does jump up to a 78 overall, so we're feeling pretty good about that overall. And, you know, he continues to be a nice offensive lineman for us. Nothing else I can say. Alright, so, good news is we did not have any major, like Grayson Heidig didn't get hurt in this game, but we had a few other guys ended up having issues. Kenny Beekman was someone that we had an issue with last week. He did break his ribs. He's still hurt. We now lost a second offensive lineman, though, with James Smith dislocating his ankle. He's going to be out for the next 6 weeks of the season. Plus, not to mention, Paul Hitchens had a quad strain in this one, and he's going to be questionable for the next game that we're going to be playing very shortly in the Orlando Guardians. So, very tough look to see, you know, that we have, you know, 2 or 3 starters, guys that can contribute to our team, all hurt. But I promise you that no one is feeling bad for us right now, man. I can tell you what. Now, one thing that I will do before this guy starts to lose interest is that I am going to try and bring back Connor Hank. Connor Hank is one of those rotational pieces that we have at the center position and has some interest in coming back, so we will make an offer for him, overpaying him just a tad, but Connor Hank is a solid football player, so I have no issue like going ahead and trying to you know, make a dent in terms of making sure we have at least a backup center moving forward. Guys that I want to definitely bring back but have no interest in doing so include Matt Weaver. Eric Carey is another one of those guys as well. Daryl McLeod could also be quite a bit of a loss as well. And then, not to mention Andrew Collar, he does have the 5th-year option, so we can have him through next season. But the big problem is that Andrew Collar, this is a guy that has no interest in coming back, so we may have to either overpay him or figure out something else if we want to keep Andrew Collar long term. Alright, so we did end up advancing the week, and what we saw was that Eric Carey is going to come out here, man, and he is going to get an upgrade himself. Now, his morale is holding him back a little bit because he's a natural 85, but with a temporary boost, he actually jumps up to an 86 after we do the upgrade for him. 2 overalls and 1 upgrade, you love to see it, and the crazy thing is, well, we had multiples for the run block power, so maybe it's like a turning around point, but we got to figure out a way to get some wins to help with our morale issues that we're experiencing. But after the game, one of the things that we had to do was we had a meeting with one of our receivers as Leon Thomas gets called into the office. We know that he's low-key been struggling lately. You know, this is a big adjustment for him. He was a wide receiver 2 for us for the first couple of seasons of this series, and he was doing fine in that role, but being that wide receiver 1, between having DJ Potter like having to enter free agency, and then also Chris Saxon, who was on this team last year, but he's now in the NFL as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. It's been an adjustment for him. So we set a new goal for him for this year. Let's get him to 7 touchdowns just to see if we can get him back on track. But with that being said, we do have an opportunity to get back on track here as we take on the Orlando Guardians. Now, the Orlando Guardians are in a similar ship that we are in right now, as Orlando has not won a single game up to this point, but we do not start our very best here in this Orlando matchup, as we quickly give Orlando the first points of the game. And against a winless squad, we are a few minutes away from halftime. We still haven't even scored yet. But here we are inside the 35-yard line, trying our best to go ahead and make sure we get on the scoreboard for the very first time. Andrew Collar does at least get us just about in the red zone, but I definitely want to finish in the red zone here as we have a 3rd and 6. Collar's going to drop back, looks over the left-hand side, but we never saw that linebacker, and that's going to be taken back quite a distance. Terrell Sharpton does bring him down, but Joe Cox is going to be saving the Orlando Guardians. Plenty of points up on the board, and definitely a disturbing number of Orlando fans in the stands. Just to let you know the state of our team right about now, as we got a 2nd and 8 here coming up, as they're going to go ahead. It's an RPO over to the right-hand side, as Dubois is having a pretty decent day, actually. You know, not a solid day, I would say. You know, not a liquid or a gas, but they're going to gas us on the way almost into the end zone. We will keep them just a couple of yards short, but Orlando is going to be looking to extend the lead. Well, we're trying to keep it at just 1 possession. So Dubois is going to go ahead and try to set up some play action, but the first-round rookie, J.J. Peters, has completely other plans in mind, as J.J. Peters is going to get his first sack of his UFL career, as Dubois just never saw him coming. So now that we have a little bit more breathing room, let's see what our boys can do with a 2nd and goal, and we lost containment. Jerron Strong was in the right place, but for one reason or another just stopped running, and we give up a touchdown that we had no business of giving up. So it's now 17-7. We're down by 10 against the worst team in the UFL right now. Absolutely crazy work being done here at this moment. So now if we want to avoid some embarrassment, we got to score some points quickly. 2nd and goal now as Collar drops back to pass, but an uncharacteristically bad throw for Andrew Collar. He had him in the end zone, and he just missed him straight up and down. So instead of 7 points on the board, it's going to be a 3rd and goal for Andrew Collar and company. And he has to take the sack because there was not anywhere to go with the ball, it seemed like. So with that being said, we had to settle for the field goal, and this possession becomes much bigger now. If Orlando scores points on this drive, it's likely over. And this is now not how we wanted to start this drive, because you take a look at that clock down on the lower right-hand corner. You can see that it is clearly running against us right now, as this will likely be taken into the 2-minute warning here, or at least so I thought, because right before the 2-minute warning, they do end up running yet another play, and they will end up running for yet another first down. Nathan Ballmer silently having a pretty good day, 8 carries and 56 yards. And so it all comes down to this. Gotta hold him here on a 3rd and short as Dubois winds up. He's gonna drop back the pass, but it's dropped. The pass is dropped, and so the Dayton Triangles, without having to use another timeout, they will have one shot to tie this thing up. So this drive will start at the 34-yard line as we got 1st and 10. Collar drops back, looks over the middle, and that is going to be an incompletion. Don't know how Andrew Collar misses that throw, but that was egregious. So now it's going to be 2nd and 10 instead, as Collar steps up in the pocket. This time he finds Leon Thomas and does get to about midfield before we end up using one of our timeouts. That could be an important timeout. We only have one remaining, as Collar again steps up in the pocket, finds Grayson Heineck, and we have to use another timeout because there was an injury on the field. It was one of our offensive guys. Heineck has to go ahead and get to the sideline dealing with an ankle injury, and so no more timeouts remaining. So we got to play the sidelines, and that's one of those plays that will certainly help us out. DeAndre Bazier getting a big play and getting out of bounds. We'll likely not see Grayson Heineck again in this game because he has the ankle sprain. But we might not need him though, as Leon Thomas is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton! And the Dayton Triangles are going to nod things up. And we actually go into overtime. Problem is with the overtime period is that Orlando actually did win the coin toss, so they will get the ball first. And the big issue with that here is if they find their way into the end zone on this drive, this game is going to be over. And Nathan Balmer just took Orlando inside the 5-yard line. So there it is, just a few yards away from clinching this game. They're going to try to run it on 3rd and goal, but Balmer just barely gets in. Touchdown, Orlando. And that's it, chat. Nathan Balmer just iced this game for the Orlando Guardians, and they will finally get their first win of the season. Well, we will end up falling to just 1-5 on the year. That's a painful one. I mean, that's a game that you absolutely have to win in order to have any kind of respectability. And for us to fail, that's tough. And boys, do you want to talk about pathetic? I'm going to be honest with you, this was kind of pathetic, man. I mean, we came out here, we are taking on an 0-5 Orlando team. And we struggled to stay in the game with Orlando. We needed a 4th quarter comeback just to force it into overtime. And then, of course, Orlando wins the coin toss. They get the ball first, and they march right down the field for a touchdown, effectively ending the game. And we actually could be legitimately one of the worst teams here in year number 3. Now, with that being said, Andrew Collar did play a little bit better. He did go 25 for 36, so pretty efficient on the day. He had 263 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Did have the 1 interception that we did end up throwing. Overall, a solid game, but it just simply wasn't enough, though. As for our ground game, Terrell Sharpen did get double-digit carries once again, but still not doing much with them, as he had less than 4 yards a carry in the ball game. Joe Spears seems like he was a little bit more efficient with 4 carries and 19 yards on the ground. And then Andrew Collar did also end up running for a 1st down as well. As for the receivers, Leon Thomas was our leading receiver. He played pretty well today, 8 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. DeAndre Bazier was solid, and then Joe Spears, we found the end zone with Joe Spears with 3 catches and 45 yards today, which was pretty cool to see, but nobody else really making those profound impacts that we're looking for. And while our defense overall played better today, it just simply wasn't enough. I mean, we did have 3 guys with double-digit tackles. Denario Allen had 14. J.J. Peters is probably my player of the game. He had a sack and 13 total tackles. Most of those were by himself. Paul Henchins, he did actually end up playing in this game. He did have 10 tackles in his return, so that is promising to see. I mean, the defense played okay. It's just, it's either we can't get a complete game for the life of ourselves, and it's so frustrating, as you can tell from my voice. J.J. Peters did get a sack. We did get a user sack with him, and then Jared Strong was able to force an interception. That was the first turnover that we forced in I don't even know how many games at this point, but it still wasn't enough, as we are going to be one of the worst teams in the UFL. So another tough loss, but at least we get another person to get an upgrade. This is Joe Spears, this time getting a little bit of an upgrade boost. He's sitting at a 72 overall right now, but after we work on his receiving back, he does get up to at least a 73. We got a +2 to catching and then a +1 to a couple of other things, but Joe Spears, maybe someone that could step up here as our starting tailback. Just really looking at anything and everything in order to try and change this losing streak that we got going on, man. I'm dead serious. Alright, man, so that's gonna take us here into the bye week, and going into the bye week, we might need to take a really hard look in the mirror and figure out who we are. We're gonna be 1-5, so we have, I kid you not, probably the worst record in the league. We'll go ahead and check the standings real fast, and actually, surprisingly, we don't have the worst record in the league. There is somebody else that is even worse than us. Actually, a couple of teams. The Minnesota Blizzard, they haven't won a single game yet this season, and then the Michigan Panthers are also sitting at 1-5. But as you can see where we are right now, we are sitting in a spot to where we are legitimately fighting for the #1 pick. Much closer to that #1 overall pick than where we were in terms of trying to actually make a playoff spot, which, even though we lost so much talent, I still felt that we could have been a playoff team. but clearly I was completely wrong about the pulse of my squad, and that's been a tough one to tough pill to swallow. So second half of the season, we definitely need to figure out right here, right now, how are we going to proceed as a team? Are we going to give up, or are we going to come out here and play much better in the second half of the season, or at least as we get closer to the second half of the season now that we're on bye? Next episode, we will have a couple of divisional games. We will have Evansville and Columbus that we will play up against, and ironically, winning those two games could very much get us back into the division title race. But is that in our best interest? I truly don't know, but we'll have to figure that out as much more in the next episode. As next episode, we will play those two divisional games. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me, even though it has been a very difficult season for us, much more difficult than I've ever anticipated. But with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy this team trying to go from back from the ground up. I mean, there's individual talent here, but hey, with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, man, if you did, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.